Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our February Strengthening Early Childhood webinar. We will wait just a couple minutes to let individuals join us before we get started. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and those individuals can join us as they are able to. So as I said, good morning. So my name is Erica Figueroa, and I will be facilitating myself and a couple of my colleagues from KUC PPR will be facilitating our All In for Kansas Kids webinars for 2023. Just a reminder that we do have or actually here's our agenda. We're going to go over some webinar updates that we have had. They were shown in the first webinar of the year in January. The next is that we will be childcare aware. We'll be doing a presentation for their continuum of support for early for childcare in Kansas and how communities can get involved. And then we will go ahead and have just some general updates. If you have questions or thoughts, please feel free to put them in chat. My colleague, Julia, will be monitoring the chat so that she is able to make sure that we get everyone's questions answered. So just a reminder that our webinar schedule has shifted to monthly. If you have already registered, you might want to delete the webinar appointments that are no longer planned. And those webinar appointments are there on the side. And then you can also sign up to receive our weekly All In for Kansas Kids newsletter at the Cabinet website. If you have already deleted all of your old webinar appointments, you can also go to the Cabinet website and register for this year's series of webinars. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our friends at Childcare Aware, and that is Mitch Rucker and Tanya Koehn. And so go ahead, Mitch and Tanya, I will go ahead and just move the slides as you talk, and so just let me know when we're ready for the next one.
That sounds great. Thank you. We're excited to be here today to kind of visit with everybody about how Childcare Aware of Kansas works to build childcare capacity and works with communities. So I'm going to let you go ahead and move to the next slide. I'll get us started on just visiting with everybody about how our community outreach and engagement teams across the state work with communities on building childcare capacity, and then I will hand it over to Mitch to kind of finish up and explain how he does his work, and we team up with him to do work. So our community outreach and engagement teams across the state work alongside communities. As we all know, there is no step-by-step instruction to building childcare capacity. If there was some magic solution, we all in early childhood would have figured that out a long time ago. So we really work hard at going into communities and partnering beside them and working with them as a team. We provide a space to imagine what their childcare system could look like in their specific community and how we can amplify the community members' voices in that community. We have a lot of different ways that we work with them to do this. Anywhere from gathering data to talking about best practices to seeing what their early childhood landscape looks like in their community. Because even the community next to them, early childhood landscape is not going to look like theirs. So I'll let you go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is kind of what our 5 approach step looks like, and I'll go just a little bit into each approach. I won't take a lot of time. So we do some pre-planning and support. We have a communities in action workshop. We talk about funding with communities. We have some follow-up support, and we have a go team approach. This does not mean that it goes in this order. Sometimes we jump in the middle, sometimes we go backwards, sometimes we go forwards, and sometimes we jump back and forth. This kind of tells you how the approach works and the different ways that we work with communities. So I'll let you move forward, and I'm going to talk about them in order, but like I said, they don't always go in order. So for our pre-planning and support, there's just a lot of different ways that we can come in and really support communities where they are at. We work hard to meet them where they are at and establish that relationship and that partnership with them. We can support them in a lot of different ways, whether it's supporting the communities to establish some kind of governance structure so that as they're making decisions about building childcare capacity, they have ways to move those decisions forward in a unified way. I'll let you go to the next slide because I've got some things that will can kind of help also look at that. We help them engage a full community effort. We can help with assisting and launching some different community needs assessment. Sometimes we see communities are like, I'm absolutely sure what we need to do is to bring in a childcare center. And what we find out is maybe they just need a couple group homes, or maybe what they really need to focus on is a school age program. And we can launch some community needs assessment that will help them drill down what they need. We can help support coalition building. Sometimes we just get a phone call from 1 or 2 individuals and they're like, we don't even know where to start. And so we can help them just even figuring out where to start. We can provide them with community childcare specific data, and we can provide them with some state childcare data. And of course, that economic impact data, if they're going out and they're talking to businesses and other individuals within their community, this kind of data helps them talk and meet the individuals who they're talking to. We all know that you have to kind of tailor your conversation to those that you're talking to, and we can help them as they do that. We don't go talk to those individuals because they don't want to hear from us. We can be a support and a mentor, but we really empower the communities to go do and have those conversations. And then we have some resources, some childcare budget tools that they can use, because communities, most of them are volunteers. They really don't know what they don't know. And they may not have a lot of time to do and work on this on this initiative. So we really have tried to simplify it for them. We have a budget tool that they can use to figure out what does it cost to start up a childcare facility? What does it cost to do the monthly budgeting? What's that going to cost them or cost that facility? So we have tools to help with that. Sometimes, and then we get into, and we really want to stress that businesses have family-friendly policies. And what do those resources look like? We want to help all families in that communities, and that kind of ties in with that. And then we can help with some workforce resources. We really want to make sure that we're looking at the community as a whole. Those current providers in the community, the families in the community, and then recruitment and bringing more providers into that community. One of the other opportunities that we have is called a Communities in Action Workshop. We've been doing this workshop for a little over a year and a half now. And this is a full day workshop that we bring in a team of early childhood system partners that can come in and explain how they help communities and what their expertise and benefit is to working with the community and how they're there for them. And then we work really hard to help communities get into separate tables and work on their short-term and long-term goals. This becomes really important. We have a community coach with them to sit as a dive into what those short-term and long-term goals for their community is with actionable steps underneath them. As you can imagine, as communities are going through those everyday, every month meetings, they don't have time to sit and look through short-term and long-term goals. When they do it in this workshop, then they get to take that back, and month by month, they already have that done. So they already have action plans and they know what their vision is and what they want to do. And it just makes it easier for them to go back then and know, okay, we want to write a letter to the editor to let everybody know what we're doing in town. So Jan, you said you were going to do that. So let's do that this month. And so it just gives them those action items with some measurable goals, measurable deadlines that they can then work that plan throughout the next year, 2 years, 5 years. And their community coach then is also usually at that table through the next month to help them move those forward. Grant or funding information. Right now, of course, Child Care Aware of Kansas is lucky enough to have some funding opportunities. We do have some funding available to help coalitions that are just getting started. And then we have some funding opportunities for coalitions that are already in place and looking to just increase capacity. But we don't just go in there for just our funding opportunities. We also are working with communities to help connect them to local, regional, other state funding resources, because we want them to be successful in their entire project. So we want to know what is the full project that they're looking at in their community. And we're there listening and helping them find the funding for everything that they want to get funded. Because as we know, childcare is not going to end with just one little project. Even if they get one community childcare opened, they're going to need more than just that, because the community is going to keep bringing more children in. At least we hope so. So their communities keep growing. So we want to be there to keep helping them and keep helping them find those resources, keep building their childcare capacity. And you can move to the next one, because that's where this comes in. We come in with follow-up. We are still there helping them for as long as we need them, or they need us. Sometimes they don't need us at every meeting. Sometimes they only need us once or twice in a 6-month span. Sometimes they just need us once a quarter to come in. We really go off what the community needs and how often they need us. Sometimes they run into barriers and they need us to bring in the Go team. And we have those resources that can come help work through those barriers. And that is where Mitch is going to come in, and he's going to talk more about what the Go team and that group can come in and help with the barriers. So I'm going to hand it over to Mitch to go more into how he works with our community outreach and engagement teams. Also through this follow-up and some of the other stages too. Like I said, they spread back and forth. It's not just a one-way assistance, and how he works with our community outreach and engagement team across this work.
Yeah, so thanks, Tanya. for kind of going over the community outreach and engagement portion, just as a reminder. Yeah, it's kind of lined up here as a step, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But yeah, it is there is a lot of back and forth because building childcare capacity is complicated, and sometimes you make progress only to realize you need to take a step back and reassess. And so I'm really excited to be part of the creation of the childcare Go team, and work with the community outreach engagement efforts that have been going on for a while now. You can go on to the next slide. So just kind of to go over the different scopes or the different services that the groups offer. As Tanya mentioned, all of the things that the community outreach and engagement teams can offer. We can offer some from the Go team a little bit different to help supplement those efforts and troubleshoot along the way. As they build their vision and work towards solving their local child care shortage. They're going to run into barriers along the way, and hopefully we can come in, and we can do that by working statewide. We have communities that are at different points kind of in their child care journey. So I think we can lean on some expertise, and by building up a base of knowledge and experience from across the state to see how things have gone well, things have gone poorly in the past, so we can avoid pitfalls and get a head start on some things. And that comes just through the facilitation of information and resources. We can provide some of that technical expertise. We can make connections to people who have done this before, who do have some knowledge or experience with doing this, and connecting them with the communities, that may be getting started. The coordination of effort. The challenges and the opportunities are going to be unique in each community. If we think of, a place, like where I'm from, I think of Burdett. Okay, it's a little town. What it may need is one home provider may be enough, to service the entire community. Whereas in Wichita, obviously the scale is going to be much different. But also it's going to be important to coordinate kind of in either space. Maybe folks there in Burdett are really chomping at the bit to open up a childcare, a home childcare provider. But there's a center going in the town nearby that that this group doesn't know about. And so just again, sharing that information and knowing how those things will impact each other, will help, make sure that we're doing this in an efficient and sustainable way. And as well as, then marshaling as resources. As we continue doing this work, hopefully we'll be building a repository of resources and knowledge that we can continue to use, because we know that this will be an ongoing challenge into the future as our state continues to grow and we continue to have more folks. So excited to build that as well. We can go on to the next slide. So some examples, of our, again, what it would look like locally. So they're with the coalition, they're working on the vision and putting all the pieces into place. Well, with the Go team, we'll hopefully be full of people who can help remove some of those barriers. So they're saying we really want to partner with this group, but we're having trouble getting this one specific player involved. So that's something that the Go team can come and help out with, and maybe do a direct outreach, say, hey, here's what's in it for you. Maybe we can connect you with this person is in a similar role over here, and we can hash this out and see how we can get you on board and help facilitate, again, the creation of new childcare. So again, it would be people with who would be able to make those investments. So whether it's philanthropies, whether it's business, it's helping bring in some of those outside, those unusual or previously not involved parties into the conversation. So I look forward to being able to play that role as well. If we can go on to the next slide. So just kind of some that's kind of how it works in the community level, and how we intersect with community outreach engagement. For the Go team specifically, just some general thoughts that we want to bring to the table, and kind of why the Go team was created, why we're embarking on this this project. So recognizing the crisis is significant, widespread, and urgent. The challenges and solutions will be unique. It's going to take time. Again, these communities, this is serious work, and it's very personal work, and so it's going to require authentic relationship building with community members to build that trust and build that credibility, so that we can continue to do this work effectively together, because we know that there will be tension and competing interests and that sort of thing, and so we have to have we have to have credibility, and knowing that we're acting in good faith, and actively trying to meet their challenges, even if it is difficult in the short term. And so to that end, in building that last point, I just really love, we're going to start with yes, like that's our principle. We're going to start with yes and figure out how from there. We're going to get this solved for you. It's just a matter of how are we going to get this done. So again, going to the dual scopes, that's again the kind of the principles. There's also the state element of the Go team. So there's the Kansas State Go team that's again getting set up in process, and so that is comprised of state agencies that have interest or jurisdiction with childcare, also with representatives from childcare providers, their associations, and staff support from Child Care Aware of Kansas. So as these barriers, these issues bubble up in communities as they're doing this work, some of them are going to relate to issues that have to do with decisions at the state level with our state agencies, and making sure that there's a place for them to come together and hear about it and discuss it all together in a coordinated fashion, with some facilitation, with the workforce there at the table. I think it's really important to have have as a system hold space for that, and to have it be real time, with real timely issues that are currently bubbling up in communities that they're currently facing, so that we know that the solutions we're discussing, well, here's how it's workable, or here's, oh no, that's not quite what we need. We can provide that again, that real time feedback for our communities. And then of course, as some as maybe some pop up more often than others, maybe that's something that we can address at a systems level. And certainly we can take a look at that, but again, gotta have the space for that conversation. We can go on to the next slide. So again, we're identifying opportunities for community partnerships. We're identifying gaps in the current system. We've already had some examples of that in terms of funding being available in certain ways and not others. And so trying to close those gaps in the system to meet a specific need of an individual, but then also take that solution and see, okay, maybe this is a wider problem that we can create a systems level solution for. So we're always wanting to collaborate to solve issues as locally as possible, knowing that this is community work. The solutions are going to be community created and community driven. But we certainly want to make sure that as they're doing that work, that they're aware and accessing all of the resources that are available, and that the resources that are available are what are actually needed. And so that will, again, be filtered up kind of through that process, through the facilitation of the new Go team process. That's okay. Yeah, Eric, you can go on to the next slide, and that is my contact information. So as we're kind of getting this set up, please feel free to reach out. I'm really excited to embark on this and kind of get more into the community work. So thanks for your time. I'm excited to be here, and I think we have some time for questions. So I'll look to Erica to confirm or deny.
Yes, plenty of time for questions. So if any individuals have questions for Tanya or Mitch, Julia went ahead and put Mitch's contact information in the chat, as well as the Child Care Aware website. So I'll start off with one question that I have that might be helpful for the group is, Mitch and Tanya, if I am a child care provider or a community, where do I go to get in contact with the outreach and the Go team?
This is Tanya. I can help with that. So the best place to start is you can just email communitysupport@ks.childcareware.org, and I can put that in the chat. That email address can then get filtered to Mitch or to the community outreach and engagement across the state. We've got that being answered at all times, and we just will filter that no matter which county you're in.
And just to tack on, there's no wrong door. That's probably, that's the official method, but certainly, if somebody reaches out to me directly, or, it will get filtered kind of through that same process, kind of wherever the entry point is. There's no wrong door, for the community or the provider that does need to get in touch.
Hey, Mitch, sorry, I was typing and was not multitasking very well. I was wondering, are you sensing any sort of theme as far as barrier that's coming up thus far? Something that's kind of across community, or are they kind of one-off issues?
I would say right for now, and recognizing that this is about a month, a couple months old, I'd say it's hard to tell. It'd probably be too early to say that there's a trend. But I'd say that it is, anecdotally, and having been in this work for a few years prior to being in this position, say that a lot of it does come back to funding, and just making sure that we have again the funds that are able to be spent on the right needs, and just making sure that that's all connected is probably the biggest challenge. Again, the blending and braiding, as we say.
There is a question in the chat: when and or how can people join?
I'm not sure what they're wanting to join. Can they clarify?
I think maybe perhaps their local or regional Go team.
Yeah. So I'd say, yeah, please feel free to send me an email. That's probably the most direct way. If that's what you kind of know you would like to sign up for, yeah, feel free to just reach out directly, and yeah, we'll get you plugged in.
Another from the chat: can you tell us about what areas or towns you have been involved with?
So sure. I think the Go team is a little bit different because they've been, like Mitch said, it's just been a couple of months that they've been going. As far as the community outreach and engagement teams across the state, I can tell you from working, they were involved in almost all the counties in the state. I think we're just short, maybe about 20-ish that we have not currently been involved in at some level or another, keeping in mind that that varies depending on the community's level of readiness. Some communities are already going very strong, and they don't necessarily need a community outreach and engagement coordinator that's needs to be there a whole lot, and some need us there a lot more. Mitch, I'll let Mitch pipe in and tell you how many towns and areas that he's already been involved in, keeping in mind we're on, I think, the second month
Yeah, I think I, have been involved with the community outreach engagement efforts and like to pop in with the CIA workshops. But I'd say, in terms of actually, working with groups, probably 4 counties. So, but ranging across the state, from, currently, been in Lyon and Reno, but again, it's happy to go where we're needed. So it's not, only for a particular R&R region. This is available and, for communities wherever they are in Kansas.
Last call for anyone else. Have any questions that you're more than welcome to put in the chat or come off mute. All right, well, with that, if any other questions do come up, the contact information is here, and Mitch's information has been put in the chat. I want to thank Tanya and Mitch for coming today and talking about the continuum of care or continuum of support that Child Care Aware can provide to communities that are looking to help solve their childcare problems. So thank you so much, Tanya and Mitch.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So next, what we'll do is just go through some general announcements. If anyone has any questions, like I said, please feel free to put them in the chat or come off mute as we go through the announcements. So the first announcement we'll have is that the next date for the Early Childhood Recommendations panel on February 17th will be the Early Childhood Governance Summit. This will be occurring during the normal Early Childhood Recommendations panel time from 9 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. A variety of different early childhood groups will come together and discuss the work that they have been doing, update us on their progress, and then the ability to discuss together around what is the best way to accomplish those goals within their scope of work for the Kansas Kids Strategic Plan. This recommendations panel will be available for public viewing via the YouTube channel. And Julia has gone ahead and put that live stream YouTube channel within the chat. The next piece that really lovely dovetails to the presentation that we have today is around the Kansas Child Care Capacity Accelerator. So last month, the Spark funding was announced to help support the Child Care Capacity Accelerator grant program. If you have yet to watch last month's webinar, I would encourage you to go to the Children's Cabinet website and look at that webinar as it goes into kind of more detail around the actual spark funding itself. But this grant program will be able to support constructions or renovations to childcare facilities to add high quality and sustainable childcare seats within Kansas. There is a webinar, an informational webinar that will be happening actually tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. To talk about what that grant process will look like. The application process will include a letter of interest. That letter of interest is due February 20th, and then the final application will be due in May. So the webinar tomorrow just reviews what those different steps are and really what the Child Care Capacity Accelerator Grant Program is hoping to accomplish. And more information on the program itself can be found at the All In for Kansas Kids website. And Julia again did add in the registration for the ability to attend the webinar within the chat. The next announcement or update we have is the developmental health engagement sessions. These are part of the All In for Kansas Kids PDG implementation work. And we are looking for parents to be able to share their experiences with the early childhood developmental health system. We've had in last year been able, or 2 years ago, been able to conduct a survey from families and providers around what the awareness looks like on the early childhood system and developmental health screenings. And now we're really looking to have families give some more detail and more in-depth information around what those experiences look like and what navigating the system for a child's developmental health has looked like in their communities in particular. Families that participate, I believe will be virtual sessions. There will be 6 of them. One of the sessions will be completely in Spanish to help those families for if English is not their first language. The link to register this has been put in the chat for both the Child Care Accelerator, sorry Julia, and the actual developmental health sessions. Just really wanting to quickly let everybody know about some training opportunities. So professional development for early education providers of all kind. Casito has a variety of training opportunities. KCSL is also now offering several trainings that address child abuse prevention. And as well as Greenbush is providing a variety of virtual and in-person trainings. I believe a good portion of these trainings do offer KDHE in-service clock hours, but more information on the trainings, please go to the available websites that Julia will link in the chat to see if they do or do not provide those in-service clock hours. We also have, so Capata has a new monthly training series. The training schedule is available on their website as well as the All In for Kansas Kids newsletter. And there you can see the trainings that are coming up. The next is the ECE conference schedules. So the 41st annual Kansas Division for Early Childhood Conference is going to be the 22nd through the 24th of February in Wichita, Kansas. And that registration is open, as well as Julia will be providing that registration link in the actual chat. Next is the NEKLS Kansas Early Literacy Symposium will be happening at the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library on April 14th in Topeka, obviously, and more information will be put in the chat. And I believe there isn't any registration for that. I believe it is a pay at the door event. Then the Kansas Parents as Teachers Association annual conference will be happening in Salina at the Webster's Conference Center. Registration is now open for that. That will also be put in the chat. So final reminders and next steps. So the early childhood recommendations panel will be on the 17th from 9 to 11:30 a.m. The next early childhood systems building webinar. So these webinars will be March 8th from 12 to 1 p.m. And if you are looking for more information, signing up for the All In for Kansas Kids weekly newsletter is a great way to go. If you have a topic that you're interested in that would be covered in these webinars, please let us know as well by reaching out through the Children's Cabinet website. We're more than happy or would love to hear what you all would like to see presented during these webinars. And with that, that is all of the information we have for you today, unless there are individuals that have thoughts in the chat or would like to come off mute.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had mentioned that the KCCTO had scholarship opportunities for professionals in like higher education. So I'm just kind of looking at it right now. Do you know, so I have highly qualified paras. They have to take a test for that. I have many of them who actually do want to go back to school. They're very young, but they can't afford to do that. Would they be able to apply for that, that scholarship piece from that organization?
I do not know the specifics on that. I think reaching out to Casito itself through their contact information through the website would probably be the best bet.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a message in the chat that CCPC also has a conference in April, and I am going to link that into the chat for everyone as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And if you are, if you want to go ahead and send us that information, you're more than welcome, and we can make sure it gets put on the All In for Kansas Kids newsletter. All right, well, with that, unless anyone else has any questions or chats, we will, me and Julia will be here for a little bit, but thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today and coming to hear about the continuum of support for childcare through Childcare Aware.